You step into the water. It is knee-deep, warm, and utterly opaque. A murky brown that swallows the light, hiding even your own feet from view. To your right, a sudden, sharp crack. A branch snapping under some unseen weight. Or perhaps it was not a branch at all. You freeze, a drumbeat pounding in your chest. Just beneath the surface, within arm's reach, predators are waiting. Each weighs more than a ton. In this single body of water, 7 different species of them exist at once. This is not a fever dream. It is a real place. A lost world that existed in the heart of the modern Amazon 15 million years ago. It was a realm more terrifying than any nightmare. A wetland that dwarfed the dangers of the Cretaceous seas. Here, giant turtles the size of automobiles fought back with horns of solid bone. Here, a monster existed whose 7-ton bite force was double that of the mighty Tyrannosaurus. This was the Pebas system, a place where the water itself seemed to want you dead. 23 million years ago, the very bones of South America began to shift. The Andes Mountains were rising, slowly, centimeter by centimeter, pushing skyward over millennia. This colossal geological uplift formed a stone wall, damming the ancient rivers that once flowed west into the Pacific. With their path blocked, the waters began to pool. Drop by drop, river by river, an immense basin filled, creating a natural reservoir larger than modern Japan. Scientists call it the Pebas Megaswamp. It was not a lake in the conventional sense, but a sprawling, endless mosaic of bogs, wetlands, and flooded forests, covering over 1 million square kilometers. Imagine the landmass of France and Germany combined. Then, submerge it. Add the searing heat of modern Kuwait and populate it with creatures born from a harsher, more violent earth. The water, black and stagnant, was a shallow soup in some places, a 50-meter abyss in others. This environment was forged by a planet in the grip of the Middle Miocene climatic optimum. Global temperatures were 3 to 4 degrees higher than they are today, a seemingly small number with monstrous consequences. The tropics became a planetary steam room. The air was a suffocating blanket of humidity, so thick it felt heavy in the lungs. The water was the temperature of a warm bath, the perfect incubator for giants. In this superheated crucible, life did not just survive. It erupted into terrifying new forms, giving rise to a dynasty of reptilian tyrants that has never been seen since. It was a world born of geological upheaval and climatic extremes, a glimpse into a chapter of life so violent and so alien, it serves as a stark reminder that the Earth we know is but one of countless possibilities. Year-round, without pause. The sun's energy did not beat down on an empty desert of sand, but on a liquid expanse, teeming with life. The waters were a warm, nutrient-rich soup, a perfect primordial broth for growth on a scale that defies the modern imagination. Algae bloomed in vast, living carpets. Aquatic plants wove a dense tapestry across the riverbeds. Along the banks, trees swelled to gargantuan proportions, their roots drinking deep from the supercharged earth. And where the plants flew, reptiles. This was their Eden, a world built for them. Their very metabolism, the fire in their veins, was directly tethered to the temperature of their surroundings. In this planetary hothouse, their internal furnaces burned brighter. The hotter the climate, the faster they grew, the larger they could become. And in this Miocene epoch, they exploited this advantage to its absolute, terrifying conclusion. They grew to, and in this crucible of giants, one dynasty rose to rule supreme. Meet the undisputed king of these waters, Purussaurus. Its name is a whisper from the past, drawn from the Purus River in Brazil, where its first colossal remains were unearthed in the year 1892. Picture the scene. The sweltering jungle, the oppressive humidity, an expedition led by the Brazilian paleontologist João Barbosa Rodrigues. His workers dig into the soft riverbank, their shovels slicing through layers of ancient mud. Suddenly, a dull thud. A shovel strikes something impossibly hard. It is not a rock. It is bone, an enormous bone. Then, and rasped the true scale of the creature he had found, he could scarcely believe his own eyes. It did not seem possible. The skull of a fully grown Purussaurus reached 1.5 meters in length. Consider that. A skull the length of a family dining table. This single piece of anatomy was as large as the entire body of a modern caiman. It was a wide, massive, brutalist piece of engineering, less a head and more a concrete block armed with teeth. And the animal it belonged to? The full creature stretched an astonishing 12.5 meters from snout to tail, as long as a school bus. Some researchers, examining the largest fragments, suggest the true upper limit may have been closer to 15 meters. This leviathan weighed an estimated 8.5 tons, heavier than a bull African elephant, heavier than an orca, heavier than the majority of the fearsome dinosaurs that had preceded it. But its size was not its most fearsome quality. Its true power, its claim to the title of history's ultimate predator, lay in its bite. Scientists at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, under the direction of Tito Aureliano, conducted a meticulous analysis. They studied the skull's architecture, the immense attachment points for the jaw muscles, the precise biomechanics of its closure. The figure they calculated is one that inspires a primal fear. 69,000 newtons, 7 tons of force. That is more than double the bite force of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It is, by a staggering margin, the most powerful bite of any terrestrial animal in the history of the Earth. Imagine the full weight of a heavy truck, not falling upon you, but channeled through 2 jaws lined with 50 daggers of bone. Each tooth was 5 centimeters long, conical, slightly curved backwards to prevent escape, and reinforced with cutine not designed to slice, but to puncture, to crush, to hold. They did not shatter on impact with bone, they pulverized it. Purussaurus hunted with the profound patience of all great crocodilians. Its entire sensory array, eyes, nostrils, ears, was positioned on the very top of its skull. This allowed it to lie submerged in the murky water for hours, perhaps days, with only the slightest part of its head breaking the surface. It was a floating log, a piece of river debris, a patient, waiting death. And then, the strike. A surge of prehistoric violence. A lunge of impossible speed as 8.5 tons of muscle exploded from the water. The jaws would clamp shut, and the victim would have no time to even register what was happening. Then, the final, horrific act would begin. The death roll. Locked onto its prey, the colossal reptile would begin to spin on its longitudinal axis, using the water's resistance and its own immense torque to tear flesh and shatter bone, dismembering creatures far too large to be swallowed whole. For millions of years, this was the law of the river. A reign of absolute power written in Eat wetlands receded, and the king vanished. Today, the Purus River flows in relative peace, its waters holding only the ghost of the titan that once claimed it. It serves as a silent, humbling reminder that dominance is always temporary, and that the Earth's most formidable creations are often just a prelude to silence. To tear flesh from a carcass, the beast would employ a technique of terrifying efficiency. Imagine a creature, the length of a city bus, its jaws clamped onto its victim, beginning a violent, unstoppable rotation. This was the death roll of Purussaurus, a maneuver designed not just to kill, but to dismember. Scientists have calculated the metabolic needs of this Miocene monster. An adult Purussaurus would have consumed around 40 kilograms of meat per day. Every single day. It is an appetite comparable to devouring an entire swine for breakfast, each and every morning. The question that arises is primal in its simplicity. Where could such a ravenous hunger be satisfied? The answer lay in the environment itself. The vast, vanished wetland known as the Pebas system was a crucible of life, an immense, sprawling network of lakes and swamps teeming with an abundance of food. And Purussaurus was not a selective diner. Its diet was a catalog of the living: fish, turtles, even other lesser crocodilians. Mammals that strayed too close to the water's edge, birds plucked from the humid air. Anything that moved, anything that could be overwhelmed by its sheer power and swallowed by its cavernous maw, was on the menu. But this was not a simple story of a single apex predator. Purussaurus was not the sole titan of these waters. It was the undisputed king, but its kingdom was teeming with formidable princes. Lurking in the same dark waters was Purussaurus. A relative of the modern gharials of India, those slender-snouted fish-eaters, Purussaurus was a familiar design scaled up to absurd proportions. It reached 10 meters in length. Its narrow, elongated snout, studded with 100 interlocking teeth, was less a jaw and more a biological saw blade. This was a perfect instrument for hunting fish, a living trap that could be snapped shut with blinding speed. A sideways flick of the head, a movement faster than thought, was all it took to snatch prey from the murky depths. But at such colossal dimensions, its menu was not limited to the aquatic. It was. And then there was Purussaurus. This creature seems to defy evolutionary logic, an animal seemingly conceived on another world. Imagine a crocodile, but with the head of a duck. The description is not hyperbole, it is anatomical fact. Its skull was incredibly wide, for 9.5 meters, carrying a weight of 4 tons, the mass of 4 giraffes compressed into a low-slung, armored form. And that bizarre head remains a subject of intense scientific debate. What was its purpose? How did it feed? One theory posits it was a patient ambush hunter, lying motionless with its massive jaws agape, waiting for schools of fish to swim inside before snapping the trap shut. Another, far more radical theory, now largely dismissed, suggests it may have been a herbivore, a vegetarian crocodile, a concept that borders on evolutionary absurdity. The most widely accepted hypothesis, however, is that of a bottom-feeding filterer. Purussaurus may have used lusks, crustaceans, and worms. A living, breathing hydraulic dredge, vacuuming the floor of the swamp. Regardless of its diet, an encounter with this behemoth would have been a deeply unsettling experience, even if its interests lay only with snails. And now, we arrive at the most staggering fact of all. The detail that elevates this lost world from fascinating to truly mind-bending. These giants, the bone-crushing Purussaurus, the rapier-snouted Purussaurus, the bizarre Purussaurus, did not succeed one another across the eons. They lived here, together, at the same time. The fossil record is unequivocal. The remains of 7 distinct species of crocodilian have been unearthed from the very same geological strata. Not in different layers of rock separated by millions of years, but in the same sediment, buried by the same ancient mud. 7 species of crocodile, sharing the same swamp, at the same moment in deep time. For context, the entire Amazon basin today, a territory of millions of square kilometers, is home to just 6 species of crocodilian. And they are dispersed, territorial, rarely crossing paths. But in the Miocene wetlands of Pebbas, the diversity of crocodiles surpassed the diversity of birds. Consider what this means. You stand on the shore of this ancient mega-wetland. You look to the skies, to the trees, and see almost nothing. A bird is a fleeting, rare sight, a stroke of luck. Then, you lower your gaze to the water, and they are everywhere. Crocodilians, of all sizes, of all shapes. A gallery of reptilian nightmares, each with a unique and terrifying face, all sharing the same dark, primeval waters. This was not merely an ecosystem. It was a dynasty of reptiles. A brief, spectacular epoch when the crocodile, in all its terrifying diversity, was the undisputed master of its domain. A world so dominated by a single order of predator is difficult for us to imagine. A reminder that the rules of life are not fixed, and that Earth has played host to realities far stranger than any fiction. In the primordial wetlands of Miocene South America, to fail to see a crocodile would have been a miracle. This was not a swamp. It was a throne room, an empire ruled by armored reptiles. And here, a profound biological mystery was playing out. How did 7 distinct species of giant crocodilian predators share a single ecosystem without consuming one another into extinction? The solution was not a truce, but a masterpiece of ecological engineering. A strict, invisible hierarchy governed the waters, a system known as niche partitioning. Each predator was a specialist, a master of a particular domain within the food chain. Or teeth, they were perfectly adapted to crush the armored mollusks littering the riverbeds, their meals punctuated by the sharp crack of shell against tooth. Others patrolled the middle depths. The long-snouted Grippasuchus, a living javelin, was built for speed and precision, snatching slippery fish from the murky water. The colossal duck-billed Morasuchus was a gentle giant, a filter feeder that sifted through the mud and silt for small invertebrates, a reptilian whale in a freshwater sea. Each had its role, its territory, its designated prey. But at the summit of this reptilian dynasty stood a king, Purussaurus. It did not specialize, it dominated. It consumed all, including its smaller crocodilian cousins. In this hyper-carnivorous world, it was the undisputed apex. As the paleontologist Tito Aureliano observed, the only true competitor for a Purussaurus was another Purussaurus. Yet any ecosystem, no matter how fearsome its hunters, requires a foundation of prey. And in the world of the Pebbas Formation, the victims were as titanic as their persecutors. Here lived creatures that would make its name was Stupendimus, the stupendous turtle. It is perhaps the most fitting, least exaggerated name in the history of paleontology. The carapace of this creature reached a length of 2 meters and 86 centimeters, nearly 3 meters of solid bone and keratin. A shell larger than a professional basketball player is tall, a shield the size of a small automobile. This was a turtle that weighed over a ton, an estimated 1,145 kilograms, 100 times heavier than its closest living relative, the giant South American river turtle. It was the largest freshwater turtle to have ever existed, its shell even longer than that of the legendary marine reptile, Archelon. For decades, its sheer scale was its defining feature. But in the year 2020, researchers from the University of Zurich unveiled a sensational secret. The males of Stupendimes were armed. From the front of their colossal shells, flanking the neck, grew 2 massive, forward-pointing horns. These were not mere bumps. They were true bone cores, covered in a horny sheath, weapons forged for combat. Scars and deep gouges found on fossilized specimens tell a clear story of violent encounters. Imagine the scene. 2 behemoths, each the size of a car, crashing against one another, the ground trembling with the impact. They were not battling predators, but each other. ramming and goring for territory and end-living fortresses. But these formidable weapons offered no defense against the region's true sovereign. Across numerous Stupendomys shells, paleontologists have found the same chilling evidence: deep, conical puncture wounds. The size, shape, and spacing of these marks align perfectly with only one suspect: the teeth of Purussaurus. The giant crocodile actively hunted the giant turtle. A 3-meter shell was not a deterrent. A weight of over a ton was a triviality. The crushing force of the Purussaurus jaw, estimated at nearly 7 tons, could puncture this biological armor as if it were cardboard. One fossil tells the entire story: a massive shell bearing a 60-centimeter crater where a chunk has been bitten clean out. A wound that is a perfect match for the jaw dimensions of a fully grown Purussaurus. This was not mere predation. It was a war between gods, played out in the murky waters of a lost world. An ecosystem of impossible scale, where armor was met with overwhelming force, and the cycle of life and death was conducted by titans. The bones they left behind are more than fossils. They are the chronicles of an age when monsters were real, and the rivers ran thick with their blood. A turtle tried to escape. It did not succeed. Now, imagine yourself in its place, some 13 million years ago, in the vast wetlands of what will one day become Western Amazonia. You have decided to leave the water. It seems a logical choice. The water is a liquid labyrinth teeming with no fewer than 7 distinct species of crocodilian. It is the domain of Purussaurus, a colossal caiman whose bite force eclipses that of even Tyrannosaurus Rex. Surely, solid ground must offer some measure of safety. Or does it? For on the land, another nightmare was waiting. This was not a crocodile in any sense we understand today. This was a cebecid, a distinct and terrifying branch of the crocodilomorph family tree, one that had abandoned the water entirely, evolving into a predator perfectly engineered for a terrestrial existence. Cebecids did not lie in wait at the water's edge. They ran. They truly ran, launching themselves into a terrifying galloping charge on long, powerful legs positioned directly behind them. A monster known as Purussaurus could reach 6 meters in length and weigh more than a ton. Its skull was a thing of brutal efficiency, deep and narrow, bearing an unnerving resemblance to that of a theropod dinosaur. And its teeth were not the conical, bone-crushing pegs of Purussaurus. They wore away great chunks of meat from struggling prey. Purussaurus did not ambush. It was an active pursuit predator. It would stalk its victims through dense thickets of ferns, weaving between the trunks of giant trees and across the swampy shores. Its quarry included lumbering ground sloths and the aquatic titans, sharing the same territory but not the same hunting grounds. One ruled the water, the other ruled the land. A perfect division of labor. A perfect, inescapable hell for everything else that lived there. Yet even this terrestrial monster did not stalk the forest floor alone. Here, another dynasty of predators held sway. Here roamed the forest rackets, better known by their chilling epithet, the terror birds. For millions of years, while the continent of South America was an isolated island, these giant, flightless birds were the undisputed apex predators. And the fossils unearthed from the Pebas Formation belong to one of the largest species ever to exist. Picture a creature standing well over 2 meters tall, towering over even the most formidable modern athlete. It carried the weight of a fully grown lion, 150, perhaps 200 kilograms of pure muscle and predatory fury. Its head was armed with a massive hooked beak. Its wings had withered into tiny, useless vestiges. All of its evolutionary energy had been channeled into its legs. Long, powerful limbs, built for sprinting and delivering bone-shattering kicks. They would chase down their prey, a blur of feathers and rage, before bludgeoning it to death with their feet and— Imagine an ostrich. Now bestow upon it the beak of a giant eagle. Magnify its size by half again. Add a profoundly foul temper and an insatiable hunger. You are now beginning to comprehend the forest racid. One might assume such a creature was invincible, perched unassailably at the top of the food chain. That assumption would be a grave mistake. Upon the fossilized bones of these very terror birds, paleontologists have discovered telling wounds, the distinct, gouging bite marks of crocodilian teeth. Someone was hunting the hunters. Someone was turning the terror of the Miocene into a prehistoric meal. The evidence points to the ambitious young of Purussaurus. Not yet grown to their full, monstrous dimensions, but already large, powerful, and audacious enough to challenge and kill a 2-meter-tall avian predator that strayed too close to the water's edge. The Pebbas system was more than just a place. It was a crucible. An ecosystem of such ferocious intensity that the roles of predator and prey were in constant, violent flux. It was a world where leaving the water meant facing a running crocodile, and where the most terrifying bird on Earth was itself on the menu. Here, survival was not a state of being, but a fleeting victory in a war that never ended, a testament to life's relentless, brutal, and magnificent drive to endure. It was a world unique and unrepeatable. Nowhere else in the long history of our planet has such an assembly of colossal predators gathered in a single ecosystem. This was a lost kingdom of giants, a sprawling mega-wetland that pulsed with a level of danger now absent from the Earth. Here, some 15 million years ago, the waters were ruled by the largest caiman ever to exist, Purussaurus. It shared its domain with the largest gharial, the largest freshwater turtle, and the largest river dolphin known to science. On the shores, one of the greatest land predators since the dinosaurs, the formidable terror bird, stalked its prey. The caimans, jaguars, and anacondas of today are but whispers of this former age. They are the diminished descendants of those that survived this crucible, mere shadows of a former grandeur, or a former nightmare. To gaze upon the modern Amazon is to witness a realm of breathtaking peril. Yet compared to the world that came before, it is a tranquil park. The Pebbas system, as this ancient environment is known, was a place where crocodilians may have outnumbered the birds, where turtles weighing more than a ton bore bony horns upon their shells, where 7-meter-long carnivores hunted on land, and a monster with a bite twice as powerful as Tyrannosaurus Rex patrolled the murky depths. To enter these waters was to enter a world of zero visibility, a liquid labyrinth where 7 distinct species of crocodilian lay in wait. It was a realm of constant, ambient threat, where survival was measured not in days, but in moments. The age of these monsters is over, swept away by the slow, inexorable march of geologic time. Their kingdom of water turned to dust, their lineage faded. We are left only with their fossilized remains, a humbling record of a world so extreme it challenges the very limits of our imagination, and reminds us that the Earth we inhabit is but a fleeting, gentle chapter in a much older and far more violent story.